Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Troy.
And I'm Ben-Jamin Toy.
We're broadcasting from the Cohesion Culture headquarters in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, where even when it rains, the sun still shines.
You're going to hear real-time stories from leaders confessing their most crucial or recent experiences in business.
Learn what their cost them, steps they took to fix it, and how they planned
to not do that one again.
All right, Ben-Jamin and Dr. Troy coming at you. We are joined today with Yusef Marshall, Mr. U. Excited to be here. Awesome, man.
So Yusef, we want to start out with making a little connection here. So tell us something about you that is not on your resume.
Just a lot of stuff that's not on my resume. I guess one of the funniest ones, but most interesting one, is that despite my youthful appearance, I have 3 grown daughters, 6 grandchildren. Just found out that I have a great grandchild, almost 2 years old. I haven't met him yet. That stuff never gets on the resume or the profile.
Wow.
No, it doesn't. Wow, what a great family line that you've got going there. So
Yeah.
I have 2 children, 2 grown children, so don't let the hair color fool you either. And
It
6 grandkids. And I have 2 potential who could be producing great grandchildren, but they're holding off.
No pressure. No pressure.
Well, no
rush.
pressure.
Trust me.
Listen, no pressure
Take
from
it
me.
out.
They get all the pressure from Nana, so none for me.
Oh, goodness. I can only imagine.
Yeah. And I've only got fur babies, and I've got about 100 adopted nephews and nieces, where I'm Uncle Ben, and not officially adopted. This all the family, all the friends. I'm Uncle Ben. So
Wow, 100's a lot.
we eat a lot of rice. So
yeah. So this is our opportunity to do what we call connections before content, and it gives us a chance to let people know a little bit, know something about you before we actually get kicking into it. But one of our favorite parts, though, of the show is really digging into finding out who you are as a person now. And then we'll talk about who you are as a role later. So the first thing we want to do is just make sure that you share, like, if you could answer the question and say, what would people say about you? What qualities would they say reflect you? Or at least what you would hope they'd say, whether they'd say them or not.
Oh, boy. They could be watching this. This is going to be tight.
yeah.
Okay. I think they would highlight my loyalty. I think I'm loyal to a fault. I'm not quite sure it's a good thing in some scenarios, but I'm definitely loyal to a fault. I've been known to give my shirt and my shoes off my back and feet to people. So I think that should stand out. Hopefully they'll say I'm a great listener because I do coaching and stuff. So hopefully if that's not what they say, could be in the wrong business. But those are 2 things for sure. I think I'm really, really fierce about my faith too. So I walk around with a sword everywhere I go. So they kind of know what I'm about. So those 3 things are probably what I expect to hear from people if they were to be asked that same question. But
So really nice. I guess what I would say, just based on what you told me, is I'd add generosity to that. So if you're going to give off the shirt and the shoes off your feet, it's not about loyalty so much as it is generosity. And that is such a great thing to have. You mentioned coaching. So tell us a little bit about coaching. Do you coach sports, people? Tell me about coaching.
I'm not coaching sports. I'm coaching people for sure. I've been doing it kind of off and on for almost 3 decades. I had a practice for about 4 years in Tampa, but I kind of took a break. Just trying to find myself, I guess, at this age, trying to find myself. That's funny. But, I felt a kind of push to kind of reinvent our coaching packages and services. So I'm working on it right now. It's not fully released just yet, but I'm getting back to helping people kind of find or rediscover purpose if they haven't found it, help them find that in their everyday lives. It could filter into their business, ministry, and family life. But essentially, I just wanted to do with high performance coaching. So that's kind of what we're doing with that. So that's going to be a goal. And it's all about people, like you said. So people are complex. You guys know that already better than most do. So you probably are aware of that. So no easy task. I don't take it lightly. It's a huge weight that sits here. I'm like, okay, this is big. So I'm going into uncharted territory. But
So prior to the coaching, what were the other hats you've worn in your life?
how many can I name in such a short span of time? I was a musician for a little while in the rhythm and blues hip hop arena back when I was living in my hometown in New York City. I'm doing music now, but it's more gospel centric and singing, songwriting on worship platforms here in the Charleston, South Carolina area. Beside that, I did some entrepreneurship. I had some businesses that I started. I was with a MLM, and I escaped. I made it out. I've been doing ministry for probably almost the entire 3 decades, 29 years to be exact. I've been in some form of ministry, whether it be teaching, preaching, counseling, kind of done all those things throughout that in some iteration. I was a first-time book author in 2016. I wrote a book called The Heart of the Stepfather. The company had some financial issues, so you might find a book on Amazon for $295.36. But I'll be revamping some of the books that I've already written, some books that have been yet to be released. So I'm getting back into the author realm. So those are kind of things I've been doing them off and on behind the scenes for a while. So I kind of see myself as a jack of all trades and wear many hats. I had so many jobs and roles with government and just people stuff. I worked in kitchens back here in Charleston, back at the house doing some sous chef work and stuff downtown Charleston. So I've done a lot of stuff. It's all just been good experiences. I wouldn't go back and change anything or do anything over again. It was just you learned a lot from that about yourself, character, being developed, and you know what? That was good. Put it in the toolbox so you can teach somebody else now. So that's all.
For me, this is a great lesson for anybody listening. Like, you've had a career that were widely varied, from government work to gospel music, things like that. But chances are the way that you described yourself, or you would hope other people describe you, that's what they think about you, not about you and all these other roles you had or all the things, because that's going to change. Complete side topic. You may not even be aware that we are actually in Charleston, South Carolina.
Not until I heard that intro.
The intro, yeah. And so for anybody listening, we find guests from all over the place. We're international. So we weren't aware that you were in Charleston. So this is pretty awesome.
I love it.
I love great. This. So we're going to dive in. That was some good meat. Now we want to do something a little different. What is the experience that you were prepared to share with our listeners that's personal, something that you messed up on that you're going to air some dirty laundry on?
Dirty laundry? Wow. That's loaded. If there was a loaded question, that is it. I'm not sure it's going to be that heavy, but okay. I think one of the things I thought was I did mention the MLM for a very specific reason. I think one of the reasons why I think this is an old moment is because how it impacted my whole life, my family, even my marriage. We be married next month, 29 years. And this decision that I didn't make impacted that. It impacted my family life, my relationship with my children. And that was ignoring the pull to entrepreneurship. That was a big moment because most folks, I don't have a stat in front of me, but I know a lot of folks normally ignore that pull too, because stability is what people seek after more times than not. As humans, we want comfort. We want the route that's the most traveled. Enough people have traveled, it must be good because all those folks did it. But for me, I felt this pull for decades and I kept ignoring it. My mother and her mother before her were all, in fact, most folks in my family, they came from either Ireland or someplace outside of the U.S. and they learned strong work ethic in those places and they brought it here into the country. So I grew up seeing strong emphasis on education, strong emphasis on work ethic. People have multiple jobs. That was the norm. If you didn't have a job, you were considered almost an outcast. So it was the norm to do that. So I picked up on that stuff, and that's why I worked on these different jobs. And I felt entrepreneurship way back I'm talking about lemonade stand stuff, way back in the beginning. I just ignored it. I said, you know what? That's not stable. It's not comfortable. Mom wouldn't be proud. supposed to be have a stable job like my uncle, go into engineering, go into math related fields. Inside, I just never felt it. So I basically lived a lie for nearly 3 decades. And it wasn't until maybe 5 years ago or less, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I said, you know what? This is the right thing. It doesn't feel right. It feels super uncomfortable, to be transparent, but it's the right way to go. And I just gave into this thing 4 years ago. I really felt it strong about 9, 10 years ago. I really gave into this thing like, you know what? I'm not going to keep putting myself in these workplace situations, knowing this is not where I'm supposed to be. All kind of bad stuff happened to me in these workplaces. I'm like, wow. People say, oh, you're unlucky. That's what they would say. I'm like, no, I'm just in the wrong place. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So since I decided to say yes to entrepreneurship, have my life been better? Not easier? No, it's not easier, but it has definitely been better because I'm in the right space. I'm seeing things with a more enhanced vision. I'm learning more about myself. I'm able to be more creative, function at a higher level, and my wife wants to stay with me. So this is bonus.
Yeah, bonus.
You
bonus
resisted the
thumbs up
calling for a while. What did it cost you to resist when you resist that calling?
Cost me some key relationships. It could have been that one, but we stuck it out and we're still here, and we could be celebrating a milestone next month. But that was when it was most important to me. I didn't want to lose her. Obviously, that's my best friend. So we came really close to struggling in the area because I wasn't in the right place. But a lot of key relationships, my daughters, just a lot of things that if I had been where I needed to be at, who knows how I could have helped them. What I could have instilled in them. I want to teach somebody something that I don't want to do myself. Get a good job, stay there for 45 years. Maybe you get a pension. Maybe you get a watch that's not made of gold. No, I don't want to teach somebody something that I don't want to do myself. So I feel like they got shortchanged. The people close to me got shortchanged a little bit because I was spending so much time, quote unquote, figuring it out that I couldn't teach or share anything besides cautionary tales in my own life. So to me, that was like, I feel like I just missed out on some time. I can't live in regret though. I passed through there, but I can't pack a bag and stay there. So I'm moving on from that. But at the same time, I recognize that there was some misses there.
Yeah, good idea for you to move forward and not just focus on what has already happened. So just to kind of dig back a little bit into this, so you had this opportunity to make a choice or decision, which you didn't do until much later. What were some of the what were some of the indicators, or what were some of the advice that you received from people that you may have ignored, or you simply put aside, or you didn't want to deal with?
I'm not quite sure I got a whole lot of advice. When people say, you know what, they would encourage me, say you had this potential in you, you can do this and that, but that was kind of the extent of it. I think the biggest things was that I was starting to see myself turn into a person that I didn't like too much. Some issues with health. I'm usually a pretty healthy, athletic guy. So when things started happening that are kind of out of the ordinary, they kind of like warning signs. I mean, it was just how I drove to work at my government job and do what I normally do. Stressful environment for sure. And I didn't realize that I busted a blood vessel in my eye on the way to work. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't see that because it's dark, You're not really looking in the mirror, checking your makeup. At least I'm not, So I'm driving to work. Once I got to my station, some of my employees came in and said, "Mr. Hugh, look at your eye." I said, "What?" "I don't feel anything. It's really, really red." I went to the bathroom, looked, it was totally red. Couldn't see anything but just redness. So I said, okay, this might be stress related. So I don't feel sick. I don't know. So those are indicators like that. I was grinding my teeth at night, pulling over and giving my wife a hard time and while she's trying to rest. So a little indicator like that, but like, wow, something's not hitting here. Something's missing here. So I didn't really get a whole lot of advice on that. It just kind of just felt like, I just wasn't who I wanted to be. Looked in the mirror, I didn't like that person. He was kind of ornery and discomforted and just not a great guy to live with. And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. Even from New York, I'm still a nice guy. So go figure, right? So I didn't like that person, and I made it a point to try to get him out of there and get the other guy back. So
So let's talk a little bit about your faith journey and how that faith journey impacted your decision.
Sure, absolutely. I think one of the reasons why I think it was a big impact was because I know people talk about their faith journey and they talk about Christianity. I'm not really trying to speak to all of the different ideas people have about that. I'm just going to talk about where I'm at.
Perfect.
For me, I'm really, really serious about that. Not to the point where you call me a quote unquote Bible thumper, but I'm really serious about that coming through in my lifestyle, because I had to talk about it a lot on different shows that I guess two or three of our 4 shows that we do on our brand. I'm talking about that stuff a lot, and I'm like, I don't want to just be talking about it and just be a talking head, so to speak, and not living it out in my life. So to me, it's a really, really big deal. And when I looked at the person who was there, and I was seeing some hypocrisy, I was seeing somebody not even true to themselves, but they wanted to go and coach somebody. It was really hard for me to live with that. So in short, to your answer, Dr. Troy, I think that the seeing myself in the mirror of the word and talking about faith, just the word by itself, I wasn't even functioning in faith. I was leaning toward comfort and doing what was easy, doing what was, again, be pleasing to my relatives, but not pleasing to me. So it was just a matter of, saying, you know what? It was kind of a come to Jesus meet to have with myself. I'm like, okay, you talk about faith, you're talking about having confidence and reliance in God, but is that what you're doing? Or are you relying on somebody to hopefully give you a check on Friday if the computers don't fail? Who you putting all your trust in? Is it your own intellect, your own thoughts, or you putting your trust in me? So those are the kind of things I had to ask myself, and it were really, really, really hard questions. A lot of long nights, a lot of tears, a lot of time in the closet, pondering my life, and thinking about a lot of different things. So for me, it was just a measuring stick. I mean, I didn't use faith as a shield to try to hide from hard stuff. I used it as a measuring stick. This is what is a standard. Are you living up to it?
I have a friend that teaches a program called Generational Dream Poverty. And the concept is that so many times parents, and this is going to relate to your story from what I hear, is so many times parents will tell their kids, you can do everything you want, you have a dream, go for it. But the children witness the parents having a dream, but they put it all on the sideline to raise the family, to do the thing. So they also said, oh, you can have a dream until it's inconvenient. And so so he talks about the idea is like the best thing you can do for your kids is to go after something when it's not easy, when it's not the best timing, to show them, okay, I can figure this out with these situations, with all the entanglements of life, because that will show them a better example. So for you to hear your story of going through these things, like you will probably become a better example to your children by going after the things, even if it's this late in life. So
yeah, love that. There's a quote from our old dearly departed mentor. He's been a blessing to my wife and I for many years. My name is Dr. Miles Monroe, out of the Bahamas. There's 2 quotes that I share so much, I need to get some credit for it. But one of them, I won't butcher it. It's a really, really long quote, but at the end of the day, what he was saying was that the richest place in the world isn't the oil fields in Texas or Saudi Arabia or Fort Knox. It's the graveyard. All of the books that haven't been written, all the poems that haven't been scribed, the songs that haven't been written, the inventions that haven't been invented, all those things are sitting there because they went through their whole life, however long that was, and never accomplished those things. And I just felt like, what you just said too, Ben, I don't want to live a life like that, where I go to my end full. I want to go to my end empty, knowing that I've done all the things I was supposed to be doing. So that's kind of part of the push too for why I'm going where I'm going and living this disciplined lifestyle I'm living right now.
Don't go to your grave with your music still in you. But what's the other quote? What's the other quote from Miles Monroe?
Oh, the other one is without the understanding of purpose. Well, let me get it right. Without the understanding of or purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable.
Yeah. And so, so for me as a listener, and I kind of put myself into the shoes of the people who listen to the podcast. So, typically these are individuals who are, maybe 40 or under. They're employed. They're maybe not happy with the way things are going at their organization. They're looking for, growth and advancement. And So they can learn through what we call these, mentoring through mistakes or mishaps in doing it. Can you isolate for me again, and you may have already said it, but let's just do it as a recap. What was the single thing, if you can put your finger on a single thing, that all of a sudden had you slap yourself in the face and go, holy crap, I got to change what I'm doing?
Believe it or not, most folks are gonna probably say the same thing. If you ask 10 people, 9 out of 10 probably gonna say the same thing. The COVID era.
Okay.
During that year, beside the fact that I lost many people who were close to me, in my opinion, way too early. That's a side story, different topic for a different day. But
Yes.
During that time, what I noticed two things. One, I saw people who were thrust out of comfortable situations and didn't know what to do. There's a gentleman right over here. I don't know how many of you guys are with Moan's Corner. There's a pizza spot right around the corner from here, and we were frequenting at the time pretty often. The gentleman was in there trying to make pizzas. 70 years old, just got thrust out of a corporate job. The man, I'm pretty sure he was expecting to retire or die there. Not sure which one he was planning, but he was there for a long time, over 40 years easily, maybe even closer to 50, working at this corporate place. And he got booted out during COVID, during 2020. Out here trying to flip pizza because he couldn't find a job anywhere else. Culture shock. The man, he wasn't doing a good job at it, to be clear. I'm not saying making pizzas is hard or easy. That's not for me to speak to. But all I'm saying is that it was a struggle for him, and he was not getting the job done. I can't imagine how he was feeling. So I saw stuff like that happen a lot during that year. And then I had challenges with my job. My job, just even though I was probably the highest producer on the job I was at, my boss brought in a cardboard box for me. I saw the box all day long, but it didn't have my name on it, so I didn't think it was for me until around 3:30 that afternoon, after I had a long, really, really, really rough day. It was an ugly Monday. In my office with the box. We had to do some budget cuts because of COVID. We had to let one person go from all the offices around the country. And guess who in that office was the one to go?
Yeah.
So what I realized is that we're replaceable. And what I also realized that, I can't, that was my signature moment for me. Like, okay, you know what? All these years, I watched this happen to other people all the time, and now it's happening to me. Now what are you going to do? So my first instinct was to go and try to find a job in the one ass and stuff. I'm like, Mark was like, what am I doing? So that was my pivot. It turned everything around. I've never gone back. I haven't been in the corporate workforce, it's been like easily 5 years now, I would say. And I haven't regretted one bit of it.
So recap for us some of the things that you have done to make sure that you don't do this experience again, this moment. What is it that you have put in place?
This is not necessarily a tangible. This is more like an intangible, I think. This is acceptable to you guys. One of the things is that I just really begin to, if I can say this, kind of rebuild myself. I dealt with a lot of self-esteem and looking at myself in terms of how other people saw me as being valuable or not. And I kind of leaned into that a lot. And I'm like, I gotta value me. At the end of the day, somebody might fire me, they might replace me in my position with somebody else that they like more, or maybe they're friends of theirs. Anything can happen. I gotta be able to say, you know what? I value me no matter what happens to me. So that was a really big deal for me. I mean, like I said, it doesn't sound like a real big deal, but to me, it was huge because it was like, okay, if suppose something happens again where I am at the mercy of somebody else, I got to know who I am. I got to know that I belong where I belong. And I don't belong where I don't belong. I got to know what I know and don't know what I don't know. I got to be okay with me. And it took me a long time to get there. And I'm really not even proud of that. I'm saying this on your show. I haven't said it many other places at all. I'm like, I'm not even proud of that. It took me this long to figure out, you know what? you're valuable, man. You matter. You mean something. I've heard it from people here and there. My mom told me that on a semi-regular basis. But honestly, not a lot of voices telling me, you know what? You're valuable no matter what you do. Even if you don't have this job or this role in ministry or this assignment in the church, you still mean something. I didn't hear it much. My wife told me that all the time, and she's been the biggest supporter. I love her for that.
Yusef, that's one of the biggest reasons we separate when we ask you who you are. We had you separate identity with character traits outside of roles you have, right?
Yeah.
And the lesson to anybody listening, and we're going to be sounding like a broken record because people need to hear it time and time again. And the power mindset of our book, as the acronym, the mindset that you need to have is that things will change. And one of the things going into being an employee is that you're not in control of everything. So things will always change. So be prepared for some of those things, but owning your own attributes and values. So if you're able to listen to this and hear, I'm not going to even age you at this point, but if you're able to, at a younger age, get into the idea of the owning who you are, determining that, because that's what people are going to remember, regardless of whatever role you have. You can take those skills, those character traits to the next thing. And if you're prepared for that with your mindset that things will change, roles will change, pandemics may happen, then you will know that. So, man, that you're the blessing that you're giving to others to realize it took you a little while, and it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up on that. Most folks were never told to think about themselves outside of the hats they're wearing, the family unit that they're part of, or whatever. But because we can perform poorly in all those, there's probably days where you weren't the best of father, the best of husbands, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But you were still, all the character things that you were still true. We just had off days. And the same thing when you're working somewhere. So, man, for anybody listening, understanding the values, and we're telling you to, do the self-reflection. We have a lot of talks that then come back to self-reflection. Yeah. But figure out who you are in your attributes and values, and you'll land on your feet probably quicker because you're realizing that those circumstances, that job was not your provider. It comes from other sources. And man, so I think that's a great lesson right there.
Yeah, my mom, aka Fanny, because that was her nickname, reminded me always that my character would be defined by the choices I made, not the circumstances I found myself in. We were poor by circumstance, not by choice. She had cancer by circumstance, not by choice. She said the words that we speak will also create the life around us. So choose wisely what you say.
Your mom was really wise. Love that.
She was very wise woman. So, well, okay. So we have talked about some really great things, really getting to your story and your own experience. And thank you so much for making it so personal and really exposing that. What was a question that you thought we would ask you today that we didn't?
I feel like I had that written down. Question that I thought you would ask that you have not asked me yet.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many. This life is. I'm learning so much about my own life right now. You did a lot of stuff. Yeah. I forgot about a whole bunch of stuff. It comes out on podcast episode. I don't know how and why. Yeah. It comes out totally by surprise. I guess just maybe what was one of the most. Was probably one of the worst examples of me walking in leadership, because of what your show's about. I'm trying to get ready for that.
So what we would say is that if you would like to share that particular answer to the question, then pretend that we teed up that question, and now you're welcome to answer it. You're always welcome to plead the fifth if you'd like.
Ooh, gosh. I'm gutsy. I'll go ahead and share it.
Okay.
Many might think about organizations. I worked at a lot of places, high level, Fortune 500, et cetera, state government, that kind of thing. I think probably my worst example of leadership was actually in my own house. Coming from, now I'm trying to keep this one really, really brief. Coming from New York, I was forced to learn things really, really quickly and adapt. at a very young age. I was a latchkey kid, didn't have a lot of examples of what a healthy family looks like. No offense to my mom. She did the best she could, working 2 jobs, going to school. The majority of the time I lived in her house, she was doing that. In fact, almost every year that was there, she was doing that for decades. But I didn't have examples of a healthy man. I didn't have anybody who could show me what that looks like. I was watching the Cosby Show to find it out. That's how I found out how it could look potentially. But to me, coming into a situation where you move out of state and then you have, 3 really, really young kids, all girls, and it's like, and a new wife, it's like, how do you handle this? What do I have? Do I Google something? How do I find out how to handle this? And I didn't do well in my initial foray into leading as priest, prophet, and even husband and father. Didn't do well. Did a lot of yelling and hand gestures and demanding that people understand what I'm saying and do what I say. It was like, I said, that's how I always saw that. I'm like, this, it must be what works, right? But it took me about 3 years to figure out the lessons weren't really working. I had to take a different approach, a different strategy. So that was probably the worst. Like I said, nothing I'm proud of whatsoever. My daughter would be like, yeah, that was true. But this is a whole different dad now and whole different approach, whole different mindset. So not a great, that was a big but I'm doing a whole lot better now.
Yeah. Well, it's really great because, one of the mistakes that leaders make is that they, first of all, think they have to do everything. The second thing is they are afraid to ask for help because somehow it's been determined that if you ask for help, it means a sign of weakness. But quite frankly, the sign of weakness is pretending you know the answer, doing the wrong thing, and having everything screw up around you. I mean, that is where the weakness is. So, the fact that you could, and what I really marvel at, I mean, in all of this is this area of emotional intelligence that you've demonstrated through this, that self-awareness of you to be able to self-regulate what's happening, and then to understand the social impact that you have of your social awareness with that family dynamics, and then making the impact for your family from the social regard. And the fact that you're motivated, like you chose to motivate yourself. It wasn't like, yes, maybe there were some, based on the story that you've told us, maybe there are some exterior things that were impacting you or influencing you, but it really seems that what I've heard is that your influencing was from the inside out, that you really and truly took it from a moment of figuring out, like, okay, who do I need to be on the inside? And then I can demonstrate and show that on the outside, because what I'm seeing on the outside that's been coming from the inside, I don't like that very much. And that's what you said. It's kind of like even using the mirror example, like looking in the mirror and not liking what you see. The fact is, you can continue to look at that mirror all you want. You can try to dress up your exterior so that it might look better, maybe more handsome, dress more regally, whatever it happens to be. But the reality is that it has to come from the inside. And that's what we want our listeners to know and our leaders to understand, is that you have to build from those attributes inside. You cannot just do everything from an exterior standpoint or just from a check the box kind of program. It has to drive internally, because that's when your purpose and your passion will align, and that will make what you do meaningful.
I agree in the interior side of that. However, we also say that the thinking that got you into a problem can't be the same thinking that gets you out of it. So what inputs changed? What was the difference in, did you have a coach? Was it reading? Like, what you had the drive, you apparently wanted the change. What did you put into you to give you the skills to change?
Yeah, I wish I could say I had the coaches. They try to hide themselves, but when I look at their resume or their life, can't have you speaking over me, not in this state.
Yeah.
I respectfully decline your assistance here. But so for me, I think a lot of it was, like Dr. Toy said, what was inside coming out. So I just decided to put more inside. I did a lot more reading. I did a lot. I mean, I was an avid reader to start with, but not on these type of topics. So
Which topic?
This topic of fatherhood.
Okay.
parenting,
Specific. Okay.
blended family, those kind of things. So I just kind of just dug into a lot more things along that line. But really, to be honest with you, the majority of the books that I read were, I guess, me help kind of materials.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's, I mean, that I wasn't trying to lead you there, but the idea that to let other folks know is that anything that you want to grow in, there's books on the subject. And to get mentoring by mistakes or mishaps, well, one of the ways you can get to someplace quicker is to read a book on it, listen to podcasts. I mean, I'm sure this may not have been the podcast era as you're making some of those changes and whatnot. But book, we're in a environment now that there's so much content out there, so it's harder to also verify and validate some things. But man, if you're looking to grow in an area of personal development, find those books, find those podcasts, things like that can train you and help you change that thinking. Because like I said, the thinking that got you there is not going to be the same thing that gets you out. You have to have a different perspective.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, Yusef, we want to thank you so much for being on the
This has been fun.
Podcast with us. And so, just for clarification, for folks who are going to find you, we're going to ask about that. But that is YUSEF. Last name is Marshall, MARSHALL. So, Yusef, Mr. U, tell us now, how would you like people to contact you if they'd like to reach out?
I think what I'm finding is easiest is that our website, they call me Mr. U.buzzsprout.com. What that allow you to do is to kind of get a lot of more intel on me. The first 3 seasons of our show were all audio, and I might have overshared. So my life is on paper, like really. So those 3 seasons are there. All 5 seasons of the show are there, but you can find a lot of intel on me there. All the social media links to where we are on every platform I can think of except Snapchat. We're there. So all the links are there. You can find us on social media. You can DM me privately if you have a question or like a consultation of some sort, or just to share about what you gained from our podcast brand and the shows and everything. So probably the easiest route. We have a YouTube channel. We have TikTok. All those things are there, but probably the one-stop shop to find all of those links will be they call me Mr. U.buzzsprout.com. Best route, I think.
Awesome. And it's Mr. U, right? M-I-S-T-A.
Oh, yes. Mr. is some guy from China.
Yeah.
Mr. is the guy from New York, live in Charleston.
Okay, love it.
Well, at the beginning we talked about some laundry, and I think you probably went a little deeper than you intended. So I'm grateful for you showing up, right? And I love that, and I love that in the path of leadership that folks that are listening realize that you did a lot of that self-reflection. So I'm so excited, and
Yeah. So we're going to end our show like we do with all of our Cohesion Culture programs with this simple mantra: you don't have to know everything.
You just need to be teachable.